Hello friends, and welcome back to another episode of Deep and Effective Big Book Study. I am your host, the Recovered Alcoholic. And today, boys and girls, we're going to be starting episode 17, which was we're going to be continuing on with step 4 in the inventory process. And today we're going to be going over the fear inventory. If you've been following along and listening in, we just finished up with the last episode going over resentment and how to understand and do a 4-column inventory. Today we're going to understand how to understand about the 4-column fear inventory as well. So, as always, I like to open the episode here with a little not serenity prayer, but set aside prayer. So if you want to take a moment of silence and join me, I'll lead us in prayer, guys. God, please help me set aside everything I think I know about myself, my disease, the 12 steps, and especially you, so I might have an open mind and new experience with all these things. Please help me to see the truth. Okay, guys, so we got God in the house. If you're new to the channel, appreciate you being here. If you're a returning customer, appreciate that too. If you haven't already had an opportunity, please hit that subscribe button, like it, and share it with some friends if you have an opportunity. It'd be great to help the channel grow. As always, I'm going to drop in my email. It's recoveredalcoholic1939@gmail.com. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything I can help you out with, by all means, shoot me a message. If you're looking for sponsorship, both men and women, guys, I can get you hooked up with a spiritual experience. Ladies out there, I can get you in touch with some women who are really strong within the rooms, within the program, I mean. So, guys, if you're a returning customer, you know I'm getting ready to read from page 25, and if you're a new customer to the channel, then let you know that we always open up with a couple paragraphs off page 25. So I'll read. The great fact is just this and nothing less, that we've had deep and effective spiritual experiences which have revolutionized our whole attitude toward our life, toward our fellows, toward God's universe. The central fact of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered into our hearts and lives, which is indeed miraculous. He has commenced to accomplish those things for us which we could never do by ourselves. Okay, guys, so we're going to be picking back up on the bottom of page 67. Right? I'll take a quick minute to recap here and see how we got to where we are, right? So we understand this business of resentment is infinitely grave, right? We're learning that this is what's blocking me from God, right? We learned that we're going to have to do this 4-column inventory to get down to the causes and the conditions of it, right? This is so we're setting the stage before we move on into the fear, right? And remember last episode, I talked about the principle behind the 4-step is courage with humility. And I immediately took us to page 68 and showed a couple examples of how courage is the principle of courage is interwoven into this step. And we're going to go over that principle of courage again here in a minute. And here's another little thing, guys. So when we go back to page 65, right? And this is where we have our diagram. We have our 3 columns, right? And if you look in the column where it says affects my, in each example, look what they have written after it. See how they have the word fear in quotations? So here's what I've learned through experience and practice over my time in recovery is that, out of all inventories, everything that is going to come down to ultimately is fear. Fear is what's driving me. Fear is the force that causes me to make all these decisions in my life. Fear is my problem, right? And I promise you, you strip down any resentment inventory, you strip down any sex inventory, you strip down anything deep enough, you're going to get down to it's all based on fear. So really what we're doing with all this inventory stuff is just really seeing how fear is manifesting itself in our lives. So I'm going to pick up on 67 and start reading, guys, and verbatim, we're going to go through this. Notice that the word fear is bracketed alongside the difficulties with Mr. Brown, Mrs. Jones, the employer, and the wife. This short word somehow touches about every aspect of our lives. Yes, it does. It is an evil and corroding thread. The fabric of our existence was shot through with it. This is what I'm saying, right? I've got 2 emotions, love and fear. Everything else is a manifestation of one or the other. And this is some things that I'm going to learn through this inventory process, right? So when I'm sitting down and seeing and looking into my behaviors and my attitudes and the belief systems and patterns that I have, it's really easy to determine, okay, am I in fear or am I in love? Which one is it? It really simplifies things. I'll keep reading. It says, it set in motion trains of circumstances which brought us misfortune. We felt we didn't deserve, but did we not ourselves set the ball rolling? So there's a question mark right there. I got to tell you, the answer is yes. Right? Because what I'm going to learn through this process, and I know we talked about victimization in last episode, and being a victim and having victim mentality and all these type of things, right? But this is where I'm going to get free from all of that victim mentality that I've been carrying on, and I've been playing it to my advantage is what I've been doing. But this is where I'm going to get to set all of that down and become free of it. I'll keep reading. Sometimes we think fear ought to be classed with stealing. It seems to cause more trouble. Right? And I didn't understand what that sentence meant for the longest time. And I think I heard somebody say one time, and it made perfect sense to me, is that the fear, when it talks about stealing, right? What it's doing is it's robbing me from opportunities. It's robbing me from life because, see, fear is controlling me. Fear is driving me, right? I'm in bondage, so I'm a slave. My fear tells me where to go, how to get there, how to act when I show up. My fear is in control of me. So it's robbing me of life is what it's doing, and opportunities that I'm missing because I'm making nothing but fear-based decisions in my life. Now we're going to get into the simple inventory, guys. Talk about 4 columns in resentment. We're going to do 4 columns with the fear. And I'm going to read and then break it down. We reviewed our fears thoroughly. Right now, I want to take a second to talk about that word thoroughly for a minute. What they're talking about is not timely, but they're talking about having integrity, having humility, having honesty, willingness, open-mindedness, having courage, not timely. Big difference. So we reviewed our fears thoroughly. We put them on paper. Even though we had no resentment in connection with them, we asked ourselves why we had them. Wasn't it because self-reliance failed us? Self-reliance was good as far as it went, but it didn't go far enough. Some of us once had great self-confidence, but it didn't really solve the fear problem or any other problem. When it made us cocky, it was worse. So I'm going to stop right there, and we're going to see some instructions on how to achieve our 4-column inventory right here. So just within this paragraph, we're going to see the 3 columns out of the 4. First column is the fear. How simple is that? Just like the resentment. Remember, I just need a name. In the first column in the fear, I just need the fear. Write down the fear. Second column, why do I have it? There's a question mark, right? Why do I have this fear? I'm going to give examples of why I think I have this fear. The third column is how has self-reliance failed me? I'm going to write about how self-reliance is failing me. Pretty simple stuff. And now we're about to get into where the 4th column comes from. And I'll continue reading. Perhaps there's a better way. We think so. If we are now on a different basis. And what basis is that, guys? Takes us all the way back to the 3rd step. Remember on the top of page 63 when it says, when we took such a position, all remarkable sorts of things followed? So the basis I'm on now is a basis of faith, which is the principle behind the 3rd step. That's where I'm at now. I'm going to be stepping out into faith with this inventory. The basis of trusting and relying upon God. That's what faith is about. Faith plus dependence. Here it is. We trust infinite God rather than our finite self. Infinite God. What's outside the scope of that? So whatever problem I think I have, whatever situation, whatever it is I think, right, that makes me special or unique. Well, I'm different. It's not going to work for me. No. There is nothing outside the scope that God is all powerful. We are in the world to play the role He assigns. This is again, 3rd step stuff. Just to the extent that we think He would have us and humbly rely on Him, does He enable us to match calamity with serenity. So now our 4th column is going to come from what I just read, right? In that paragraph, perhaps there's a better way. We think so. For now on a different basis of trusting and relying upon God, right? And here it is. We are in the world to play the role he assigns. So our fourth column is about God's will for me and how could I have showed up instead. Does that make sense? So we now understand that we have our three columns, right? I got the fear, pretty simple. It's column 2. Why do I have it? Column 3, how has self-reliance failed me? And the fourth column is what is God's will for me? How would he want me? How would he want me to be? What is his will for me? That's the solution. Let me finish up. We never apologize to anyone for depending upon our Creator. We can laugh at those who think spirituality is the way of weakness. Paradoxically, is the way of strength. And remember, I talked about the principle behind the fourth step was courage. Courage with humility. So listen here. The verdict of the ages is that faith means courage. All men of faith have courage. So we see the principle of faith, third step, and the principle of fourth step, courage, right here. Because this is what I have to do. I have to marry the two together. Instead, we let him demonstrate through us what he can do, right? Remember what page 55 is all about? We're going to learn out, we're going to find out where God is. God is in us. So this is all going to happen within me and through me. And here's our fear prayer. Guys, it's right here. We ask him to remove our fear and direct our attention to what he'd have us be. Right? This again is about the essence of the fourth column. What is it you need me to be here, God? What is your will for me? This is what I'm writing about in the fourth column. And here's the promise. At once, we commence to outgrow fear. Now, I want to make something real clear here, right? I can't just turn to page 68 when I'm in fear and go, okay, God, remove my fear, and expect that to work. I have to do everything that led me to this sentence on 68. I have to be willing to put pen to paper and write about that and get down to the cause and condition of the fear and see where it's all about how self-reliance is failing me. You with me? You know, the fear inventory in the book is only maybe a page and a half. It's the shortest inventory that we have, but to me it's the most powerful inventory that we have. Because when I get down to these fears, I really get down to what's driving me. So that's it, guys, for the fear. We'll be picking back up in the next episode where we're going to get into the sex inventory, and that's going to get a little bit deeper. So again, I want to drop in my email. It's recoveredalcoholic1939@gmail.com. Any questions, comments, concerns, please reach out to me. If you're looking for any solid, solution-based, big book study meetings, reach out to me and I can get you pointed in the right direction. And as always, I like to close with a quote from the bottom of page 164. May God bless you and keep you till then. So take care and much love.